Welcome to the ultimate buyer's guide for handheld XRFs in 2025. My name is Nate, I'm the Alloy Geek. I run a website called alloygeek.com where you can find all your handheld XRF accessories right from the start. But I made this video, this is an unsponsored video by the way, so while I do run my own company, the manufacturers of the handheld XRFs are not sponsoring this content. I'm making this video for you guys, the users of these handheld XRFs. What you guys need to understand is that there are a variety of different handheld XRFs available on the market today, whether they're new or pre-owned, also called used, right? And you can buy all these handheld XRFs, but what are the best ones to buy? And we're gonna dive into that in a tier list format to kind of rank everything in the market and help educate you guys about what's out there and kind of where it fits in the overall landscape of handheld XRFs in 2025. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so first up, I have to make a disclaimer. Now, I cannot cover every handheld XRF in every configuration. Most of the handheld XRFs rated in this video may have multiple configurations, calibrations, and hardware that has been changed and upgraded throughout the years. Their companies have even changed who they are, where they are, all of that. So this covers some older XRFs with companies that no longer exist and some brand new current production models, top of the line handheld XRFs. And what I'm going to show you guys is the entire spectrum of those XRFs in the market and show you how they stack up. So first up, I can't really talk about handheld XRFs unless I talk about some of the long-term legacy products that have really become a staple in the industry. And there's none other better to start with than the Nikon XL2. I'm gonna rate this analyzer as a C tier analyzer. Now, back in the day, this was one of the top performing handheld XRFs in the market. It was durable, it has a robust calibration, and it still has those things today. Some of these analyzers are 10 plus years old. Thermal Scientific still supports them, and they're a great handheld XRF to buy pre-owned. The Nikon XL2 is actually an older model, okay? And there is a newer model that we'll talk about in a minute, but the Nikon XL2 is still a great analyzer to buy pre-owned, okay? The Nikon XL2 Plus is the bigger brother to that. I'm gonna rate that as B tier. Now, both of the XL2 and the XL2 Plus can be configured with light elements or without, but I think they're a little bit slow. The XL2 Plus is the modern equivalent, so it gets a grade up for that. It also gets a grade up for having detector protection technology around the X-ray detector, so if you're doing things like recycling that can be kind of hard on these instruments in the field, you're going to be protected. It's a much more durable instrument. So I like these analyzers a lot. They've been the backbone of what we're doing, and I think we would do a disservice to the industry not to cover them first to give you guys a benchmark of how we're rating everything here. Next up, we have the Nikon XL3T, which I'm actually going to put in A tier. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the XL3T because it's an older platform, which is why it can't be an S tier. The Nikon XL3T can also be configured in many different ways, including different X-ray tubes and detectors, depending on when the technology was available. It could even have a helium purge in it, which I don't believe is done anymore, but it's been a very versatile handheld XRF. It works for almost every calibration out there. It gets good mining and geochemical results. It's a great handheld XRF. It's a step up from the XL2 for sure. Next up is the Nikon XL5, which is our first S-tier handheld XRF on this list. The XL5 is incredibly fast. It does low tramp elements with a high degree of precision. It runs a hot 5-watt X-ray tube. It has modern technology and it's been updated in a lot of ways. It's also a lot smaller. I mean, a lot of these companies like to say our XRF is so much smaller. I don't really see a big difference in working with smaller handheld XRFs. In fact, there is a little bit of a knocking in the Nikon XL5 that you can break it if you drop it because it's a little bit more fragile than the XL2 and some of the other models on the market. But it's still a smoking fast, top of the line handheld XRF. Just wear your wrist strap if you get one. Like it a lot. Next up, another big workhorse. I'm going to lump all of the Delta series, whether they're gray, yellow, or blue, or some other color, they're all going into C tier. These are the Olympus Deltas. They have been also, just like the XL2, the backbone of most of the industry for handheld XRF for a long time. They are an older model. They no longer connect to the modern Windows systems. They are being discontinued as of April of 2025. But if you're looking for a pre-owned handheld XRF, you can buy these really inexpensively and they work and last a long time. Also, Evident Scientific, formerly Olympus, they do a great job in supporting these handheld XRFs, at least to their ability to do so. And the ability will be limited after April of 2025. But don't worry, alloygeek.com will cover these things indefinitely. You will not be left in the dust. Next up, the Bruker S1 Titan. Now the S1 Titan is kind of a funky model. This analyzer started a long time ago, and even though it has changed dramatically what's on the inside, the exterior is roughly the same. And also, Bruker moved their manufacturing out of the US to Malaysia. I was also at Bruker in early 2025, and there wasn't a single person there that even knew to talk about the Bruker S1 Titan. So I can't really, I've seen a lot of them out there. They do work really well, but they're kind of expensive. Their manufacturing is in Malaysia, and their parts and support now are just really difficult to get. You can still buy one of these brand new made today, but I'm going to put it in C tier unless Bruker steps up their game and really starts helping their customers, and I don't see that right now. The Bruker Tracer 5. This is an analyzer that's going in A tier. Now, you may not have heard of the Tracer 5 if you're in some of the more common handheld XRF markets like scrap metal recycling or manufacturing. The Bruker Tracer 5 specifically serves the art restoration side of the handheld X world, and it does so almost exclusively. So big museums like the Smithsonian, when they're looking at pigments or doing art restoration projects, they're going to be using something like the Tracer 5. Now, it is a hyper niche handheld XRF, and so I'm going to just put it in A tier, but it can still do things like the helium purge, which gives it the ability to see lighter elements and do higher precision than you can without a helium purge. But it's more of a laboratory instrument, and it's also, again, hyper niche. Now let's talk about the SciAps X200. This is a great modern handheld XRF. This is capable of both heavy and light elements. It's on an Android-based system. It's a current model by SciAps. It's a lower price point. It's overall a really good handheld XRF to buy. It also can come with a detector protection in it, which makes it a lot more durable, just like the Nikon XL2 Plus. I really like this analyzer as well, but it's not as fast as some of the more modern handheld XRFs. I'd like to see SciAps move away from making these slower XRFs and just put all of their time and energy into the top end or top tier XRFs, which we'll get into very soon. Next, let's talk about a company called Hitachi. Now, Hitachi High-Tech makes handheld XRFs called the XMET series, and the current model is the XMET 8000, which very much needs an update. The XMET 8000 works very well. It's very fast. They even have a custom calibration mode, by the way, which the Bruker S1 Titan has, and also the Nikon XL3T has. Not all handheld XRF modes let you calibrate yourself, your own mode, and build your own custom calibration. So that's really cool. However, Hitachi's analyzers should probably be updated. Things like the battery latch on these analyzers breaks, which takes sometimes like 5 months and a few $1,000s to fix, so it shouldn't do that. So let's talk about a couple other analyzers in this series, and I'll kind of paint a picture for you. So the XMET 8000 Smart, by the way, the orange one is the XMET 8000 Expert, and then there's the XMET 8000 Smart and the XMET 8000 Optimum. Now the XMET 8000 Expert is different than the Smart and the Optimum. The Smart and the Optimum just are targeted to different markets. The Smart, for example, doesn't do light elements, so of course it's going to be dock to point. The Optimum really doesn't have a place in the market. I would like to see Hitachi not only do what Bruker needs to do, which is redesign their XRF for 2025, but also eliminate some of these older models and just double down on what really works for you. And fix that battery latch issue. That should be fixed, or offer a guarantee for your customers that if it happens, it's not going to be 20 weeks and that it's not going to be thousands of dollars to fix a little flap of plastic. So I'd like to see that. Do these analyzers work? Yeah, I just don't know if they should exist in 2025. Now, we're going to look at the Olympus Vanta Element. This is a workhorse instrument as well, but it does not do light elements. It is a previous generation. We are currently on the Evident Vanta series of handheld XRF units. So the Olympus Vanta Element is going to go into C tier. Its bigger brother, the Olympus Vanta Element S, is going to go in the B tier. It does add light element capability, and both of these Vantas, the Vanta Element series, has been a workhorse for like the metal recycling industry. They've just been great handheld XRFs all around. I expect them to be supported for 5 to 7 years after 2025. So pre-owned, you can probably get a great deal on these. The price point's lower than other handheld XRFs in the market. I like that a lot. Then we end up with the couple other Vanta series, which here we have the Vanta C series and the Vanta L series. These are great handheld XRFs as well. They're built for sometimes custom applications. They're very much like the Vanta Element S. They're really good handheld XRFs. They can connect to the test stand, but they might be more expensive than the Vanta Element S and the Vanta Element. And again, they're that previous generation of handheld XRFs. They are light element capable, or they can be, depending on the calibrations you've got in them. We have the Olympus Vanta M series. This is a backbone of the mining and geological world. It just produces really good results. It has a very low noise floor, and the software is very easy to use. You'll see this used a lot in mining, almost exclusively. It's a really good, solid handheld XRF, but it is a previous generation of a model, and I cannot give it an S tier rating for not being the current generation. We're going to continue down this mode with Olympus analyzers. Now we're going to talk about the Evident Scientific Vantas, which we have the brand new Vanta Element. Now the Vanta Element, I'm going to put this in B tier. It is the current generation of the Vanta Element, so it's going to be supported for much longer with new software updates, things like that, but it does not do light elements. And then we have the Vanta Element S, which I have a video about as well. I think this is a very fast, very nice XRF, and for an entry-level XRF, both the Vanta Element models can be fully customized with kind of exotic calibration modes, which previously really wasn't something that Olympus did. But Evident has kind of put these analyzers out there. The software is really nice. It gives the operator feedback about why it might need to use a light element beam to sort specific alloys, and no other analyzers in the market do that except for the Vanta series. So I think that's really great. The interface is really pretty, which it looks nice, but it's also very easy to read and gives the operator direct feedback of what they're doing. I like that a lot. Now we're going to talk about the Vanta Core. The Vanta Core is pretty much replaces the other two models of the Vanta, the Olympus Vanta. So the Evident Vanta Core is a handheld XRF that's geared towards kind of your higher end performance. But all of these Vantas have what's called Smart Sort in them, which is gonna throttle the beams and decide what to do so the operator doesn't have to do that. And that's a really important thing. You don't need a scientist to run these instruments. That's been done by the product specialists at Evident. And honestly, I think Evident Scientific, at least of 2025, has the best customer support in the industry and best customer service. And I think that does count for something when you're buying a handheld XRF. You can call and get a human. They actually want to do business with you. I know that sounds crazy, but call some of these other companies and you'll get a voicemail box, or their productions in Finland or Malaysia or some other thing like that, and it just doesn't make as much sense. So it's kudos to Evident for still having that core competency of science and customer service that the industry really needs. Next is the Evident Vanta Max. This is gonna be the bigger brother of the Vanta M series, the Olympus Vanta M series. It's gonna take that platform to the next level. It's the current generation. I've got to rate this S tier. Our F tier is both analyzers that are discontinued or that we don't really have a lot of data of. So the first couple that are going in there, which is the Innovex Systems Alpha. You're gonna see these on eBay. You might see them on some pre-owned sites. These are junk XRFs. They just don't work well. They run off a PDA, which is like a BlackBerry that plugs into the top of the instrument, which the data goes corrupt, and if your data goes corrupt, then you can no longer calibrate them. I've seen people out there still using them. They're also very slow. Maybe they're working for you. If they are, they're limping along. It's about time to upgrade. And the bigger brother to the Alpha is the Innovex Systems Omega, which has the integrated screen. We do still sell parts for these, some parts on AlloyGeek.com. However, there is no calibration service available for them, and I would stay away from buying one of these in 2025. Next up, we have the Hitachi XMET 5000 series, which is an older model than the XMET 8000. Parts and service are limited. It's just kind of like the Innovex Alpha models. I would steer clear of these. They just are more problematic. The XMET 7000 and 7500 series as well. Again, parts service, very limited. They're gonna go in F tier. I would steer clear of these analyzers. Let's get into another manufacturer, SciAps. Now, I'm gonna just pull their SciAps Geo analyzer. This is the X550 Geo. We're gonna put that in A tier. Now, I think this is a great handheld XRF. It's built on an S tier platform, which is the SciAps X550. However, the calibrations that need to be done to this handheld XRF just aren't quite as robust as some of the other manufacturers in the marketplace, and there's still things like the geochem calibration, which needs a little bit of development work from SciAps. I believe that SciAps will get there very soon, and it's going to be a great analyzer and an S tier contender, but as of 2025, at least at the time of making this video, we're not quite there yet. It does have a built-in fan on the side to keep the analyzer cool in the field, which I think is a really good addition for that model, but it's going to go in the A tier. Next up, we're going to talk about the SciAps X555. Now, this is specifically a mining analyzer for rare earth elements, REEs as they call it in the industry. And this is the only handheld XRF in the market that has been designed for rare earth elements. It has a more powerful X-ray tube and then paired with a detector that can see rare earth elements and is specifically designed to do that. And I think more handheld XRF companies should put out an analyzer like this that help excite some of those hard to find rare earth elements, especially in the kind of the geopolitical landscape of 2025. Next up, let's talk about the SciAps X505. That's going to go in the C tier. I don't think this analyzer should exist. You should either get a 550 or you should drop down to the X200 model. It's okay. It's built on a nice platform. It's got the great Android system built into it, but I just would buy something else other than this model. Next up, we're going to talk about the SciAps X550. This is one of my favorite analyzers in the market, and it actually belongs in S tier as well. It is incredibly fast, sporting a 5-watt X-ray tube and a small little body, so its design is very good. This analyzer also has an aluminum app, which SciAps patented and was the first to develop, where you shoot the light element beam first, so you can make aluminum sorting like really easy in a fraction of a second. Now, some of you out there might be going, well, I can sort my aluminums fast too. Traditionally, handheld XRFs shoot the heavy beam first, and then they shoot the light element beam, and it may take like 10 to 15 seconds to do that sort for the aluminum. SciAps is able to do that 10 or 15 seconds in less than 1 second. So if you're sorting a lot of aluminum alloys, or you need to identify stuff out there in the marketplace, that's the analyzer, in my opinion, the only one right now with the current calibration to do that. Now, let's talk about the SciAps X50. This is going to go into the B tier as well. This is built on a more affordable platform, so it's a much lower cost. It can have mining. It's typically known for having mining or precious metals calibrations on it, and it works very well in the industry. It's okay for what it does. It's not like a flashy A tier or even an S tier, but it is a good, affordable, solid XRF in 2025, and it's actually a current model. Now, the X5, which is supposed to be the precious metals model, is going to go below that in C tier. The X5 actually, the reason I'd rate this one lower is it's just more expensive. From what I've seen in the industry, you're paying about $10,000 more for the X5 than you are the X50, and I just don't see a reason to do that. So I'm just going to knock the X5 a little bit for the price difference there. Targeted specifically at the precious metals market. It's a very pretty analyzer, the X5, with that bronzy like side panel look. I think it's nice that way, but you know, it is what it is. So now let's talk about Spectra. We have the XSort series, the XSort 1, the XSort 2, the XSort 3, and the XSort 4. I'm going to lump all of these in F tier. And I'm doing that because I don't see these in the industry at all. Parts and service are very difficult. These analyzers are made overseas, not in the USA like many of these other analyzers on this list, and we just don't see them. Spectra really doesn't want to work with companies like Alloy Geek, and they don't really, we don't see people requesting parts or service, or we're having trouble with them and asking us for help. We see all the other analyzers. We do not see Spectra. So Spectra, if you want to work with us, we're here, but I can't rate your analyzers. They're pretty much just being disqualified. I'm not rating them poorly. However, I will rate the XMet 1 and the XMet 2 as relatively poor because they're so old at this point. They're like the old Innovexes and the Hitachis. They're just not really the support for those anymore. But the XMet, the XSort 3 model is actually a really good handheld XRF, but the battery for that model costs thousands of dollars. They actually have the entire handle has to be, with the trigger by the way, has to be replaced to replace the battery. Really expensive, not sure why they did that, and we haven't seen a Spectro XSort 4 yet. And on top of that, we don't see them at trade shows. They just don't show up to like ISRI or REMA or any of these big trade shows where we look at handheld XRFs. Next in F tier, we're going to have the Nikon XLP and the Nikon XLT. These are both very old XRFs. In many of these F tier series analyzers, you'll see them on eBay, and they'll be really, really low price because they may or may not work, and you may not be able to get them to work because the company that made them either doesn't exist or doesn't want to support them. Nikon will try to support their old XLP and XLT series analyzers, but these are really old and it's expensive to get service for them. There are still some out there in use and they may work for you, but they're just not a modern analyzer. You'd be much better off with any of Nikon's other products at this point, especially because the repair bills or the resourcing bills, if you have a radioactive isotope in them, could be somewhere upwards of $9,000, in which case you just buy a new handheld XRF. Elvatech, they're going in F tier as well. Elvatech does not show up for conferences, even the international conferences. We have not had a single request for any Elvatech parts or service or any customers asking us about their Elvatech. I've traveled to thousands of scrapyards. I've been all over the country, the USA, and I just haven't seen any. So I'm gonna rate them as F tier, as just disqualified from being rated in the series list because we don't see them. I know there's another yellow model for Elvatech's analyzer, but again, we don't see them. Elvatech doesn't show up to the big conferences here in the US. They might attend, but they don't have a booth there. They don't show off their products. So they're just going down here and disqualified for now. Now let's get into the last three analyzers on this list, which is lead paint. This is the PB200i. This is the old model from Viken Detection, which is a handheld XRF that's specifically designed for lead paint. These are some of the smallest handheld XRFs in the market, and they have a radioactive isotope in them. This model, the PB200i, requires a swipe test. It also requires you to register this with the state and local governments, just like any other handheld XRF on this list. It's an older model and should be upgraded to the current model, which we'll talk about here, the Viken PB200E. The 200E has an exemption where you no longer have to register it with the state. While it does have radioactive material in it, just like the smoke detectors in your home, it's been sealed and it's safe to use. It's specifically designed for lead paint. It's the current model. Now you can upgrade your PB200i to a 200E. It's a story for another time, but it's a great handheld XRF designed with a workflow specifically for lead paint applications. You will have to resource this device every few years as the radioactive source decays over time, typically 3 to 4 years, and you're looking at $3,000 or $4,000. But the price point to get into one of these is relatively low. I think they're a great handheld XRF for lead paint. Now let's talk about the SciAps X550 PB. This is one of the, I think it's the only tube-based HUD-approved handheld XRF on the market for lead paint. Which is great. It means you don't have to replace that radioactive source. The price point is a little bit higher. I do like this analyzer a little bit better for that reason. However, it's gonna struggle with like multi-layers of paint. When you really start having high levels of paint, many layers, like 200 layers of paint, something like the Viken with a radioactive source is just gonna do a little bit better in that application. But still, not having to resource this device is cool, but you will have to register your SciAps with your local state because it is an X-ray tube that does generate radiation, and unlike the Viken, which does not have to be registered, you will have to register this one. That's every handheld XRF on the market in 2025. You can see that there are some clear winners up top, the highest performance winners. I think that this is a very fair list, and there are going to be people here coming out here from LinkedIn saying our analyzers all belong in S tier, and it's like, no, some of your analyzers are 25 years old or older, they just don't belong there. So I think this is a very fair list in 2025. And so if you're looking to buy a handheld XRF, you can reach out to us at Alloy Geek. You will not pay a premium for working with us at Alloy Geek. We work with all the brands and we'll get you connected with the right folks to get your next handheld XRF. We also support you guys with every accessory for handheld XRFs on the market. Now we don't do the big service stuff like replacing X-ray tubes and detectors, but what we do is we do all the other accessories for handheld XRFs, and we can help you find a new one if you want one. We can, whether that's new or pre-owned. Now, if you're looking at the pre-owned space, please reach out to us first. There are a lot of online scams about handheld XRFs out there. If it looks like it's too good to be true, it probably is. A lot of these scams are based in Indonesia. I won't name the websites here in this video. I should probably do a separate video about that, but they're looking at like $4,000 for a Nikon XL5. They're just gonna take your money and run. So please, if you're looking for a pre-owned XRF, whether that's on eBay or from another company, we actually work with all the companies here that do pre-owned analyzers here at Alloy Geek, and we can get you connected with good folks with the right science and the right handheld XRF analyzer. I can tell you from my experience, many people buy a handheld XRF thinking it's gonna work for their application. What they don't think about is that each XRF is custom to a specific application that it was built for. So it might be an alloy application, but it may not have the light element beam that you need to sort the alloys that you work with. It may be a alloy analyzer, but it may not have the precious metals that you need. So those kind of things, we can make sure you get the right handheld XRF and avoid some of those scammy landmines on eBay or from some of these third-party reseller sites that are just flat out scam. So, and then the last thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video with me. This is my expertise, and this is something I'm very passionate about, which is just helping you. So hopefully if you found this value, if you have found this valuable for buying your next handheld XRF, please like and subscribe to kind of stem the bleeding from the LinkedIn brigades that are going to come here and downvote this video because they believe that all their analyzers are top tier. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Oh, hey, I heard you wanted some bonus content. Okay, well, I'll hook you up, don't worry. Now here at Alloy Geek, we work with all the handheld XRFs on the market, okay? So we've got some here, we work with them all the time. What I want you guys to take away from this is something that you can physically take with you. So take a look at my screen here. This is the 2025 Alloy Geek XRF Analyzer Performance Rating. This is only based on performance. There isn't price or any other consideration in here. These are the best analyzers on the market today. And keep in mind, this is a rating only from top to bottom. This is not an analyzer rating from left to right. That's just the numbers, the way to display the data easy for you. So just think of it as top to bottom. So if they're on that top row, those are the S tier analyzers. Those are the analyzers that I would recommend based on their performance. Now, we should also talk about the Alloy Geek rating. Now, I've done my own rating. This is, in my opinion, a more comprehensive way to review analyzers, and there are going to be a lot of people that disagree with this chart, okay? So please, if you find this useful, give me that like, because I'm going to have brigades of LinkedIn people here downvoting this video because they don't like how I rate their analyzers. Okay, these are Alloy Geek's rating criteria: speed, results, durability, connectivity, company, which is like service and support as well, and then the overall price of those analyzers. This Alloy Geek Handheld XRF overall rating chart rates every handheld XRF on the market based on those criteria, based on my personal experience and the experience of my customers. I have thousands of customers. I've been in this industry a long time, and this is what I've come up with to break down this market in 2025. Now, just because an analyzer is lower on this rating system doesn't mean it's a bad analyzer. It means that maybe it's a niche analyzer, or maybe it doesn't have light element capability, something like that, which I think should be standard in XRFs in 2025 and beyond. But I think this is a more comprehensive way to look at the analyzers on the market. If companies are difficult to deal with, they get a lower rating. If you call to place orders for parts and they just think a voicemail box is appropriate as a customer service agent, they get a lower rating. Like, this is the overall picture. So when you actually want like speed and performance and results, those are all really cool metrics for technology. But you know, if you have a phone, for example, like an Android or an Apple, and you aren't getting the support, or it's buggy, or it's not working for you, it doesn't matter what those specs are. And this rating system accounts for that. So I hope this is helpful. If please, there are going to be people here from LinkedIn downvoting this video because they're on rah-rah this brand or rah-rah that brand. My goal is only to help you. So if you found this video helpful, please, you can reach out to us. We can help you find your next handheld XRF at no additional cost to you, whether that's new or pre-owned. And again, remember, the pre-owned industry is full of scams. We can help you connect with the right people to get your next handheld XRF with again, no additional cost to you. So please make sure you don't fall for these eBay scams and you buy from a reputable seller if you're doing pre-owned. If you're buying a brand new handheld XRF, I would recommend always buying more XRF than you need. They're not that much more expensive than they were that long ago. And this chart is going to show you kind of what XRF analyzers I would buy if I was buying them. But again, you can reach out to me directly, because remember, each XRF is going to be different based on the calibrations and the hardware that's inside of it and the company that stands behind it. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful. I'll leave links to this stuff down below. Don't forget to leave that like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.